Hello, my name is Jeremy Moya, and today I will be doing my informative speech. My topic is the destruction of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Uh, as you saw right now, the PowerPoint is projected on screen. I thought that would be the best way to do a PowerPoint speech simultaneously. It gives the audience a better view of the PowerPoint. And I have my notes here to talk about the topic. But let's just get right into it. In Japan on August 6, 1945, two nuclear bombs went off in the cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The blasts from both bombs have made long-lasting problems for the country of Japan. From where the atomic bombs went off and were detonated, 90% of the land was leveled and destroying everything in its sight. It took many years for Japan to refix what happened to their country. After the bomb, the war pretty much ended then and there. The United States soldiers were relieved to hear that the war has been over because the war has been going on for many years. From the disaster of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there is a reason why the United States did this to Japan. In the beginning of the World War II, Japan was helping Germany. With them helping Germany, the United States cut off the resources which were being sent by the United States, prompting Japan to attack Pearl Harbor. And this was a huge factor in why the United States felt it was necessary to drop the two atomic bombs to them. During the war, there was a secret project being done to design the atomic bomb. The project leader of the project was Robert J. Oppenheimer. He led design of development for the first atomic bomb. The invention Oppenheimer helped create posed a threat still linger on to this day. Hiroshima and Nagasaki both were hit with atomic bomb, and it is said in an article, Recovery of Time from Nuclear Disaster by Dr. Yo Chang Wolf, it says until March of 1946, ruins were cleared and buildings were damaged but still underwent controlled demolition. Hiroshima, within a 2-kilometer radius from ground zero, 90% of the ground was flattened, like I said earlier. Also in the article, it tells readers that Hiroshima and Nagasaki had different experience for rebuilding their cities. Hiroshima took 2 years to restore, and Nagasaki took longer due to financial difficulties and did not start until 1946. Eventually, by the 1950s, Hiroshima and Nagasaki and many cities returned to the same size they were in 1945. The damages to the cities of the land of Japan is nothing compared to the lives lost by the atomic bomb, where hundreds of thousands of deaths in both cities were also hundreds of thousands of casualties. After many years that passed, there was a research team that made graphs showing you how far the bomb went and how far the casualties went. So the graph here is showing you the detonation point and how far it took. And in the article, The Atomic Bomb of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, there are graphs on the 12th page on the article. The graphs show various different distances demonstrating the destruction zone. The graph shows each distance, death, casualties, injuries, missing peoples, and death per square mile. The graph also shows the percentage of where different deaths from radius points from burns, radiation poisoning, and fallen debris. After the bomb exploded over Nagasaki, 3 days after, the ground actually reached temperatures of 400 degrees Celsius and rained radioactive rain. In another article, Counting the Dead at Hiroshima and Nagasaki by Alex Wellerstein, it says the damage report created by the United States began to paint a picture of destruction. At least 60% of the cities that built up areas were destroyed, leading the conclusion that perhaps as many as 200,000 people were perished or injured. In the same article, it shows a lot of photos of the aftermath of the bombing going on, as you can see here. Some might say what happened to Japan is a bit excessive, but the US at the time felt it was justified because they were just doing what they thought was fine during World War II. In World War II, there were Axis of powers and allies of powers. Germany, which started World War II, after they invited Poland, had an alliance with Italy and Germany, as shown here in this slide. In the article written by the Holocaust Encyclopedia, it is said in September of 1940, 3 countries formalized their alliance through the Topeka Pact. Other countries later joined Germany, giving them 6 countries in Europe to fight against World War. The countries were Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, Hungary, and Slovenia. In another article, The Path to Pearl Harbor, it says as Japan industrial during the late 19th century, it sought to intimidate the Western countries such as the United States, which established colonies in Asia and the Pacific, natural resources and markets of goods. The United States at this point did not take lightly that Japan was putting their first steps to colonize their Japanese empire in Asia by invading Manchuria in China. In the same article later, it says in 1941, Japan then moved into southern Indochina in preparation to attack its boost British Malay and source of rice, rubber, tin, oil-rich Dunce East Indies, and prompted President Roosevelt to freeze all Japan's assets that were being sent by the United States, which included oil, which was very important for Japan. This act drove Japan to attack. The Japanese naval ordered their armada that included 414 planes aboard 6 aircrafts sent to sea to destroy the U.S. Pacific Fleet based in Pearl Harbor. The United States, heartbroken when Japan did this to Pearl Harbor, knew that they had to retaliate, but they didn't know how, and how much would be good enough for the United States Americans and for their fallen soldiers. But oddly enough, there was a top secret project being developed by the U.S. government in 1942. Its code name was the Manhattan Project. A small, privileged few of scientists and state officials knew about the atomic bomb development. President Truman, until he got into presidency. The Manhattan Project would produce 2 bombs, both of them named Little Boy and Fat Man respectively. You can see right here in this slide that the bombs of Little Boy and Fat Man, both bombs were actually designed and led by theoretical physicist Robert J. Oppenheimer. Oppenheimer was the lead therapist of physicists, and during the Manhattan Project, Oppenheimer did a lot of research and designing for the atomic bomb. In conclusion, I have discussed how bad the bombs were in Japan and how it led up to the point. As unnecessary it may seem for the United States to destroy Japan in the way they did, it could look rash but justified for its own American soldiers dying in Pearl Harbor, and you have to take that into account. We also discussed Oppenheimer and how he led the physicists for the Manhattan Project for the atomic bomb. But after the bomb was created, Oppenheimer had a couple of words to say, and the most notably being his interview where he said, "I have become death, the destroyer of words." In the end, I believe it was necessary actions taken by the United States to retaliate to Japan because what they did to the United States military force. It has ultimately ended the war, which was what the United States was trying to do. But it opened a whole another can of worms, and that became the atomic age of war. Thank you.